I previously created a church leader tool on the topic of leadership development. And at the end of that tool, I shared that in the future, I'd be offering a super simple leadership development idea. And that's what I want to do. I have to tell you, I came to this idea out of a little bit of a crisis. In my church, we could not find a church council vice president. And we had had some conversation about this at our church council meeting. And it was the very next day. I was taking a little bit of balcony time, just thinking, praying, and reading. And I came across some teaching materials on unseminary.com. Rich Birch has a great website there, and he's offering a lot of great free resources. And he happened to be offering some teaching videos. They're now behind the pay part of his website, but on that particular day, they were free for a time. And one of the videos was by a guy who I remembered running into years ago by the name of Dan Reiland. Dan Reiland is probably most famous for having worked a number of years with the great leadership guru John Maxwell. And Dan Reiland was offering what he described as a super simple leadership development model. And I've actually used this idea and it's worked pretty well. So here's Dan's super simple idea for leadership development. Form a group and read a book together. Form a group and read a book. Just that simple. I actually literally heard this idea. I scrolled through my email and invited a couple of different people that I thought had some leadership potential, invited them to get together with me on a monthly basis and to read a book together. And I went ahead and did it. And I'll describe it. It's having some success. It's working. Now, one of the things you might ask is, well, when you form a group, who would you invite? Well, people that you think have leadership potential, people that you want to invest in, and invite them to meet monthly, and then read a book together. Dan Reiland, because he worked with John Maxwell for many years, suggests a number of books by John Maxwell. I happen to choose The 5 Levels of Leadership, but some other ones he suggested are The Truth About Leadership, or Lincoln on Leadership, The Next Generation Leader, and then the next two, Leadership Gold and the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, are both John Maxwell books. Really, it could be whatever you have found to be a wonderful leadership book in your life, then offer that to read that with your group and get together monthly to discuss it. Now, Dan Reiland went on to say, well, what would you talk about in that discussion? Again, he wants to keep it super simple. So he says, ask, what are you learning? What's new for you? And how do you apply what you're learning? So I've been doing this the last 3 months with some folks, and I really found it a blessing. I'm learning some things from them, and I think they're learning as well. Now, I have had a couple of additional learnings that I thought I would offer just by my initial effort in this. The first is be careful as you form the groups. I think I probably invited some people who weren't quite ready and immediately, found excuses not to be a part of the group, and that's just fine. I also should have formed them into groups that committed to a time frame and then rearranged each group meeting around those groups. I set the times, and so I've had some folks periodically miss. I think I would kind of covenant to make sure that those groups are meeting repeatedly so that they can really form some good connections with each other. I think the most surprising thing that I've found is I'm learning and I'm growing from the group. I wanted to invest in some others, but I think I'm being blessed by it just as much as they are. My final thought on this is that it hasn't been perfect. There've been some hiccups along the way, but I feel great about the fact that I have 4 people who are coming to a group and I'm investing in them and I'm helping them grow, and I'm growing from it as well. It has been a pretty super simple idea of leadership development, and I offer it to you if it's helpful to you. Now, I always remind you that there are some going deeper resources, and I'm going to offer a bunch of them, links to the books I've mentioned and to Dan Reiland and Unseminary. Look for them in the Going Deeper section. And I always encourage you, if you found this to be a blessing, then do something about it. Who would you forward this to? Who would you share? Or in this case, who could you invite to form a group and read a book? Take care and God bless.